Okay, so in this video we will cover the ignition coils that are located under the warm box. As you see, we can see one of the coil right on top. The reason why I'm going to talk about this, it's because it's actually not a common problem, but it will happen once or twice in the life of your Hummer. And it may feel really random when a coil actually dies on you. For example, I went to a store a few months ago now. I went to a store and if I remember, I was buying some woods. And when I got to the red light to get back on the main road, all of a sudden, it's as if one of my seal or one of my valves actually just like gave up on me and stayed open or something. It was so weird. Lack of strength. There was a small clicking noise, not too metallic, but really weird noise. And I was running at maybe 40 or 30% of the strength of the Hummer. It felt sluggish, really a hard time to accelerate. The whole thing was vibrating and jumping around. And I realized I did the video one time and I was supposed to post it, and since it was a few months ago, the quality of the video wasn't that great. And I just remember there's a few guys that said that driving or not, their engine was shaking. And they said when they were driving, it was worse. It could be a problem with the ignition coil if they lack power. If they don't lack power and shakes like that, there's a chance it's actually the mounts or the support for the engine that actually broke down. So anyways, keep it short. This video is about the ignition coil, how to diagnose it with a tool, well, with the diagnosis tool right there, right there, or if you don't have one, how to try them out to figure out which one is the broken one. And just to let you know, on the Hummer, what happened, the engine is a bit slanted. I don't know if we can actually see it, but if you look just under the airbox, the engine got a drop in the back. And what happened often, the water, you'll drive, you'll get water, rain, etc., and it's going to drip down, and sometimes it builds up in the last cylinder in the back, on the fifth one, and it corrodes the ignition coil in the back. So what I'll do, I'll just show you what the idles look like without any problems, and then I'll show you with a problem the difference in between. So we'll start with the normal idle. So okay, the first thing we'll do, I'll show you what the normal idle on the Hummer looks like. Put the key on, start it up. We'll wait for it to calm down. It's gonna set up around 600, 650, 700 RPM. Usually when it's warm, that's the normal position for it, if I remember carefully. I remember I do my cleanup of the throttle body and the MAP sensor every year. So that for me is a good idle. So that's a normal idle. It's good. So now we'll see what happened when you got an ignition coil that has given up on you. So be right back. So now I'm going to show you what happened when an ignition coil is defective. We'll start it up. And I don't know if you can hear the difference. You can hear the engine actually rattling. Oh, I guess one of my tools just dropped down. So there is a bit more vibration on the engine. And the engine got that weird drop down when you give it a bit of acceleration. So right now, one of the coil is actually not attached to the engine. So when the ignition coil is defective, there is going to be a smell of gas. There's going to be a lack of power, a small lack. As you see, the needle may not move a lot, but it may move just a bit. But you will feel that shake under your ass, right? The seal, your seat feels like vibrating. And when you give the acceleration or just on the idle, it feels like the engine is knocking, like either running out of oil or something like that. And you get, like I said, that big smell of gas, because right now one of our cylinders is not, have no fire. So from there, you got two types of diagnosis. You can use an OBD2 sensor. You don't need a fancy one that tells you the coding itself with all the description. You can use those cheap $30 OBD2. I think right now they got great ones. They're Wi-Fi. It's $40 or something like that. You just plug it in and it goes straight to your phone. And you can search online what this code means. So I'll do the section about that first. And after that, I'll explain every step to how to diagnose it without that tool. So we'll move to the OBD2 sensor and we'll see from there. For the OBD2 sensor on the Hummer, the plug is located under the steering wheel, right under it, and it's right there. So you just need to either plug your small OBDM or the plug-in like this and plug it in. From there, just need to sit in the car. Oops, sorry for that. Just trying to put that to the side. Oh, that's really bright. Whoa. Just trying to find a way to actually, oh, can I focus on it? Yes, we can. Right now it's not reading. May say there is no, okay. There you go. So it gives you straight ignition coil 1 control circuit. So why it says that for me right now? It's because it's not broken. It's me that unplugged it. So there is no signal at all. Usually you'll get a code that is called 301. Every 300, 301, 2, 3, 4, 5 are related to misfires. So if we got a PO 300, it means we got misfire, but it's not specific. If we got a PO 301, it means it's the ignition coil in cylinder number 1. If it's 302, cylinder 2, 304, cylinder 4, 305, cylinder 5, right? So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If it's like so, the 351, 352, 353, etc., it means that it's maybe just the plugin that is not properly installed. Like for me right now, it's a test. So basically, I got a misfire, but since I unplugged it, it's going to say it's the circuit. So that's pretty easy, right? Straightforward. So it's going to tell you straight which one is the defective one, and you start from the front of the engine where there is the rad, and you move backward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 being the one closer to the firewall and the driver. So that's really easy to diagnose with an OBD2 sensor. And after that, you just need to buy the ignition coil related, ignition coil for your model. And after that, remove the one that is defective. And how to remove it, well, I'll show you at the same time at the later on of this video after I did the diagnosis without the OBD2 sensor. So let's move to what happens if you don't have the tool, the OBDM, to do everybody that. To have watched all my videos, and you may be here just for that specific problem. I'll explain every step to remove the warm box to reach every ignition coil. So the first thing you'll do is use a 8mm or a flat screwdriver and unscrew this bracket on top. There's another one there, and there's another one there. It's up to you. You can actually just remove that one, but usually I prefer to remove the whole thing just to get better access to all the bolts. So what I'll do first, it's unscrew this one and that one, and keep that snug. Don't remove them completely. As soon as you can actually move them, they should be fine. So I'll be right back. So there we go. So the only thing I needed to do is snug them enough. As you can see, this is fine. There's no more tension with it, and I didn't remove it. Same thing with this one. It's snug, just enough to move it, but not remove it. With both hands, you'll apply a force and pull on that one and try to move it to the side. If you never or you don't move that pipe often, it's going to be really, really stiff. To do so, try to force it as much as you can until you can fit a flat screwdriver. And as you can see, there's the back bracket and that square part right there. Just enough for you to fit a screwdriver, and try to pry it at the same time as you pull on the pipe with your hand, and that's going to remove it. After that, if you want, you can lubricate around that or inside the pipe just for that section. It's going to help you out to reinstall this. So once it's snug, you just need to take it, move it to the left like so, and you'll be able to pull on that one. One hand is hard. Get it? I can't cork it. There we go. So now it's removed. So for the next part, you'll need a 10mm with an extension, like that one, to be able to reach the two bolts that are at the bottom. You can use a wrench, but it's not going to be really practical. So if you can do it with a ratchet, it's going to be better. So we'll do that, and we'll move to the next part. All right, so be right back. I removed both bolts that are at the bottom there, the 10mm, and I snug the two brackets that are located here and there. Just enough snug. And you'll need to lift that box upward and pull at the same time as you pull it. This will disconnect it. Right now, the only thing that's holding, it's that little PCV hose that's in the back. For me, it's a double wall pipe that I installed, but for you, it's going to be a solid PCV. So you just need to pull on the tubing and everything will pop out. So right now, since I got just one hand and I'm pretty stretched to reach it, I'll need to stop the video and I'll come back once I remove it. I removed the air box, well, the warm box for the air, and I removed that little extension of pipe. The reason is, if this is still connected and you're trying to reach the bolt of the third cylinder, this is going to be in the way. So it's preferable to remove the whole thing. So for the test, I disconnected, remember, the number one. And the one that fried for me was number one. And I'll explain why mine broke down. But anyways, for now, let's focus on this. So usually what you'll do, if you don't have an OBDM with you to do those tests and get the code, you'll do exactly what I did. You just unconnect one of them, and you reinstall back the air box, the warm box, at a minimum with that small pipe right there. And you start back the engine to see the difference. Why do you need to reinstall the warm box? And this, I will show you why. I'll reconnect back my coil. So right now everything's connected, everything's working. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, it's working properly. And I'll start the engine without the warm box and without the PCVOs connected. And what I mean is this one. If you saw my video about jerky idle, this can cause a lot of problem if it's broken. So I'll start back the engine just to show you what it looks like. There we go. Ready? Listen to that. That's what happened when you don't reinstall the airbox. You cannot diagnose any problem if your idle is jerky like that. So you really need in between those tests to reinstall the worm box with that PCVOs connected. So like I said, you'll disconnect the first one, start the engine. See if there is a difference if you got two of them disconnected. So let's disconnect the first one. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, to disconnect one of those, you pull the gray pin, it's a safety, then you squeeze that top black part, and you pull. Don't pull on the wire, you got enough plastic to pull on it. So for the test, remember, in our test, the first one is the problem. So for this, I'm just going to disconnect the second one, just to show you what happens if you disconnect the wrong one, to see the difference in your engine. I forgot. I just said we need to reinstall the airbox. Too much in a hurry. I'll reinstall the airbox and we'll come back to it. I reinstalled the airbox. So now we're going to start with me disconnecting the wrong faulty ignition coil. So right now we got a faulty one and one disconnected. So that rough idle right now proves you, even if it jerks a bit less, it proves you just disconnected the wrong ignition coil. And what you do, you keep going down that line. So if we go back outside, and we remove the airbox, you know what, I'll just cut the video and remove it. Be right back. I really wish I had a GoPro. So what you do, you just go down. Wait, I'll remove this too. There we go. So what you need to do, you just keep going down all the ignition one after another. So you would start with the first one, you just disconnect the first one, you start the engine. If the idle is more rough, this means it's not the first one. Then move to the second one and keep going down, reinstall the box, replug that PCV, try it again. Move to the next one, disconnect the third one, reinstall the box, reinstall the PCV, start it up. It's tedious, but you will find which one is the faulty one. If you're short on cash, this is the best way to go. If you got a bit of money, well, like I said, you can find those OBD2 sensors pretty much anywhere. Every part shop, Princess Auto, Canadian Tire, anywhere. You can order them online, but if you want to do it the same day and you don't have time to wait and that's your only vehicle and you don't want to drive it, you can diagnose like this. You will remove them and reinstall that box until you remove one and it doesn't change the idle. It's exactly the same. And that would mean this is the problem. That'd be the accurate problem. So for us, let's say it was the first one. So we'll reinstall this. So let's say we remove the first one, it didn't change anything. So what do we need to do? It's for the first one, that's the only thing that stands in the way. it's this bracket. You can actually remove those pin right there, right here, and just unclip them, and you'll find a clip in the bottom right there. You see the white clip? You just need to remove that white clip, and it's going to give you access to that bolt. So can I move this? There we go. So you see the bolt is right there. If I remember, this is a 10. Is it a 10? It is a 10. Okay. So once you find the right one, you unscrew this, and that's it. It's like a quarter turn, and it's going to be loose, and you can just unscrew it. Then you just need to twist this until it's not connected, like so. See, unconnected, and you just need to lift it up. So this is an older one, and you see there is a bit of corrosion that's building up around it. There is two things that can break down in those: the ignition coil itself, well, three things: the circuit, the ignition coil, or the boot that's at the bottom. The boot got a small spring, so once you connect it to the spark plug, there is a spring that's going to be compressed, and that makes the electricity go straight to the spark plug. But that spring can break down over time. It can corrode and break. So you can actually buy those boots, and one good way to look at it is actually to remove it and check if that spring is jiggling or seems loose. Right now, it's really, really stiff. So I know this one is good. And what happened? Like I said, the engine is slant backward. So that means a lot of water sometimes build up in the back. It's okay. What happened is we got a seal around this. And that seal can dry up over years, and the water will drip and land inside of this, and that will corrode the whole thing. You got water inside the head of the engine, not inside the end, but over the top where the spark plug is. And by warming the engine, you got a steam. The steam goes up and corrode those metal parts. So just be careful, because one of the main things that happen, let's say you're changing your spark plug. So you reinstall this, you change your spark plug, everything's great, and you're at the point to screw that back on. You have to be careful. Make sure there is no debris around that seal that I just showed you, because this needs to seal against the head itself. If it's not properly sealed, well, like I said, every time there's water, you're driving, the water is going to get inside of it, and that will cause that corrosion. But look at this. If I tighten this bolt, like so, do you see how it turned? So I'm not even properly sealed on that side. Sorry, I'm shaking. So right now we got a gap on the left side, because when I was turning it, the old bracket spin with the bolt. So make sure when you tighten it, hold with one hand in the right place and tight at the same time. So this one is not good. So we need to unscrew this and put it back in position to be able to tighten it. So like I said, with one hand you keep it straight, and then you tighten with the other hand, and that will seal properly. Just make sure, maybe take a rag, clean around it. If you got a cleaner, you can use that cleaner and reinstall that, and that will prevent it from corroding even more later on. It is a common problem that the fifth cylinder burns down. For me, the first one burned down, and the way I see it, whoever did it fast, and he didn't see it properly, and the water got in, because it was completely corroded, like twice as much as all the others. So it's not that common. It's not going to happen every year. It's not something that's going to happen often. But be aware that if you do your own maintenance, make sure it is straight. It's not something, if I live in the north or at the equator or something like that, you got rain once in a while, well, if you don't seal that properly, that is what's going to happen. Then you ran out of power and you're stuck on the road. Should you carry a spare one? Up to you. Depends if you work like hundreds of kilometers and you're often on the road. Then I would suggest, yeah, maybe keep one on board. On the old Jeeps, what is it, YG or TG, the ignition module was against the firewall, and it was actually silicone sealing the back of it. And that silicone peel off over time, and it fries. So often you'll see TG guys or guys with YGs having a spare module in their dashboard just in case it fries, because it can happen anytime. So yeah, if you got a lot of mileage, you never did it, you could buy one just in case, just to be safe, but you don't have to. And if it happens, well, I just taught you how to do the diagnosis without the OBDM, but having an OBD2 sensor with you to do the diagnosis is going to help you out a lot. And for the costs, I think this is a must in your garage. So on this, wish you well, and I hope it helps somebody out. All right, peace out.